There comes a point in life when fear quietly loosens its grip, not all at once, not through effort, but through understanding. You begin noticing that the idea of losing something does not shake you the way it once did. You think about people leaving, and your chest no longer tightens. You imagine change, and your body no longer resists immediately. This can feel unsettling at first, because fear once guided your decisions. It shaped how you loved, how you stayed, how you attached. Fear made you careful. Fear made you cling. Fear convinced you that losing meant failure. When that fear fades, you may wonder what replaced it. Are you becoming cold, detached? But coldness feels numb. This feels grounded. You are not losing emotion. You are losing dependency. Dependency once felt like love, but dependency is rooted in fear. Fear of abandonment, fear of being alone. As awareness deepens, you begin recognizing this pattern. You see how much of your attachment was driven by anxiety about being left, anxiety about not being enough. When that anxiety dissolves, attachment transforms. You still care, but you no longer cling. You still connect, but you no longer grasp. This shift creates emotional freedom. You allow people to stay without trying to secure them. You allow people to leave without collapsing. This freedom feels unfamiliar, because suffering once felt like proof of love. But love does not require suffering. Suffering comes from fear. When fear dissolves, love becomes spacious. You stop bargaining with life. You stop negotiating your truth to keep others close. This is the first sign that fear of loss is no longer controlling you. Fear of loss, Emma, is not just about people. It is about identity, about who you believe yourself to be within relationships, within environments, within familiar roles. When identity is rigid, loss feels threatening, because losing something means losing yourself. For a long time, your sense of self was tied to continuity, staying the same, remaining recognizable, being consistent. Consistency once felt safe. It provided structure, but safety built on rigidity eventually becomes suffocating. As awareness grows, identity begins loosening. You realize you are not your roles, not your relationships, not your past versions. This realization weakens fear, because fear depends on attachment. When attachment loosens, fear loses its foundation. You no longer panic when something feels complete. Completion no longer feels like failure. It feels like closure. Closure allows movement. You stop forcing continuity where growth requires change. This is why old environments no longer hold power over you. You do not fear leaving them. You fear staying misaligned. This shift is profound because it reverses your priorities. Previously, you chose stability over truth. Now, you choose truth over stability. This choice dissolves fear at the root. You understand that identity is not lost through change. It is refined. Each version of you was necessary, but none were meant to be permanent. This understanding brings emotional maturity. You no longer cling to past selves. You honor them and let them go. Then letting go once felt like defeat. It felt like giving up, like admitting something went wrong. But now, letting go feels natural. It feels honest. You recognize when something has served its purpose. You no longer force continuation out of fear. This awareness changes how you experience endings. Endings no longer feel abrupt. They feel timely. You allow things to end before they decay into resentment. This prevents suffering. You grieve when necessary, but you do not resist reality. Resistance creates pain. Acceptance creates flow. You trust that what belongs with you will return in another form, not necessarily the same, but aligned. This trust reduces fear dramatically. You stop trying to control outcomes. You allow life to unfold, not passively, but consciously. You participate without attachment. This participation feels lighter. You are present without gripping, engage without anxiety. This is emotional sovereignty. You no longer outsource your stability to external conditions. You carry it within. This internal stability allows you to face uncertainty without collapsing. When fear of loss dissolves, a quiet freedom emerges, not excitement, not euphoria, but steadiness. You move through life with less resistance. You respond rather than react. You choose rather than cling. Relationships feel cleaner. Boundaries feel natural. You no longer sacrifice yourself to avoid loss. You trust alignment more than attachment. This trust allows deeper connection, because connection without fear is authentic. You love without bargaining. You stay without obligation. You leave without guilt. This freedom transforms your relationship with life. You stop fearing change. You stop fearing endings. You stop fearing becoming someone new, because you understand that nothing real is ever truly lost. Experience leaves wisdom. Wisdom remains always. You walk forward lighter, not because you have less, but because you carry less fear. This is the maturity of awakening, not detachment from life, but deep trust in it. And once this trust forms, longer ask what you might lose. You ask what you are being invited to become. That question changes everything. There is a deeper layer to this freedom that only becomes visible with time. At first, not fearing loss feels like emotional strength, but later, you realize it is actually clarity. Clarity about what is real and what was only held together by fear. Fear once convinced you that holding tightly was necessary, that control created safety. But control never created safety. It only delayed pain. When you release the need to control, you begin seeing life more accurately. You notice how often you stayed out of obligation, how often you compromised your truth to avoid endings. This awareness does not create regret. It creates understanding. You understand that fear shaped many choices, and you forgive yourself for that. Forgiveness is essential here, because awakening is not about judgment, it is about integration. You integrate past decisions without condemning them. You recognize that each version of you did what it could with the awareness it had. This compassion softens the transition. Without compassion, growth feels harsh. With compassion, growth feels humane. As fear dissolves, your relationship with uncertainty changes. Uncertainty no longer feels threatening. It feels open. Open space invites possibility, not forced possibility, but organic unfolding. You stop demanding guarantees from life. You stop asking for reassurance. Instead, you develop trust. Trust not in outcomes, but in your ability to respond. This trust is what replaces fear. You no longer need certainty to move forward. You need alignment. Alignment creates its own safety. When alignment is present, loss does not destroy you. Change does not destabilize you. Endings do not diminish you. They refine you. You carry wisdom forward. Wisdom accumulates quietly. It does not announce itself, but it changes how you walk through the world. Your pace slows. Your reactions soften. Your choices become deliberate. You stop chasing permanence. You embrace presence. Presence is the only place where life exists. Everything else is memory or projection. Living in presence reduces fear naturally. Because fear lives in imagined futures, presence dissolves fear. This is why you no longer fear losing people. You appreciate them while they are present. You release them when they are not, without resentment, without clinging. You understand that connection is not ownership, it is shared experience, and experience leaves imprint. Imprint becomes wisdom. Wisdom stays with you always. This understanding changes how you love, how you work, how you live. You are no longer negotiating with fear. You are cooperating with truth, and truth does not demand holding on. It invites presence. From this place, life feels lighter, not because you avoid pain, but because you no longer resist reality. Resistance was exhausting. Acceptance restores energy. This is the quiet freedom that arrives when fear dissolves completely. Not dramatic, not loud, but deeply stable. A stability that does not depend on things staying the same, because you have learned that you remain whole even when life changes, and that realization is the end of fear at its root.